So I'm still on a journey to go from being a part-time artist to a full-time artist. I had an email this week from a awards company, events place. I'm not really sure what it was. It was basically saying, we like your work, your artwork, and we would like to enter you into the finals of the prestigious 2024 Art and Design Award, something like that. And I clicked the link, kind of thinking, is this genuine? Is this spam? I'm always a bit tentative clicking links to just random emails that come my way. And I obviously get a lot, as does everyone. It kind of seemed legit. And then I kind of realized this is what I've seen several times before over the course of being an internet-based artist over the last plus 20 years. And basically, it seems to me you get these companies whose sole purpose is to give you an award. And it's like, okay, well, what does this mean? And, you know, they'll argue that actually it will increase your sales and increase your kudos and reputation points. You know, you can say, oh, I got the 2024 Artist Award and, you know, look how great I am. But who's judging these awards? Like, what exactly are you getting for it? And it seems that there is quite a few organisations that will give these things out, but there's a catch, as there always is. And you have to pay in order to be entered into these awards. And it's basically a scam. I mean, I could just set up an award tomorrow and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do the Ben Crafter Art Prize. And would you like to enter? And I could be the judge. I mean, at least I've got some kind of credentials being an artist and a published author. I mean, I could say, hey, you know, would you like an existing artist to, you know, give you some feedback and reward you if they genuinely think you're the best? And I mean, does it count for anything? Well, not really, but probably a little bit more than some of these so-called art awards. I mean, some of them seem like fairly big kind of event organizations. Like, they seem to have a little bit more sway in the industry. I've seen them before where you have 3 or 4 judges from various parts of the art or design industry, and you think, okay, maybe, you know, maybe there's something here. But certainly the one that I had recently is just, I don't know what they're trying to do. Like, I think it is just a bit of a sort of gimmicky scam. It's like people that buy, you know, pay £10 or £50 for a place on the moon, sort of thing, or have a star named after them, and or adopt a zoo animal. So you don't actually, you know, you couldn't actually say, right, okay, well, I've now got some land on the moon. I paid £50 for it, so I'm going to create a space rocket and I'm going to start putting some stuff on there. I'm just going to go up there in my rocket and I'm going to build a little house. You know, people would go like, whoa, you don't own the moon. And you say, yeah, I've got my little certificate. And then it would all come to light that this is just bullshit, basically. So, same with like adopting an animal. Like, I appreciate these are charities trying to get you to give money, and they want to sort of give you something in return. And sometimes you'll go to a zoo and sometimes they have little plaques on the side saying, you know, Jesse the giraffe was adopted by, and then it will have like a list of, you know, 50 names or whatever, people that have paid money to have their names inscribed. But there's also a lot of, you know, times where you can adopt an animal and you don't get anything. You'll get a certificate. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll also get a cuddly toy. You know, but obviously the value of the toy, to them it's worth, you know, pennies, and you're paying maybe £50, £100 for doing so. And I think really what you should just do is be honest and say, look, I want to support your charity, your cause, your zoo, whatever it is. Here's some money. And that's that. Or just go to their gift shop and just buy 50 teddies if you really want the cuddly toy. So, but yeah, I just, you know what, I'm getting a bit sick of scammers at the minute. It's like, it seems like it's really kicking off with scams and scammers. And, you know, I've said in a previous video message, you know, I've been on the internet for a while, having my first sort of art portfolio back in, I think it was about 1999. And yeah, just whether it's art scams or not art scams, normally it's not. But I mean, at the minute, it's not necessarily scams, but it's just, I mean, I don't know what it is, because I don't really investigate fully enough, because it's not really professional or legit, whatever it is. I get a lot of these emails that are basically, if you pay us some money, we'll, I don't know, rank your website and give you some search engine optimization, or we'll give you, a brand new website that's, helps with the algorithm and boosting your viewership or whatever it is. And I get every single day without fail. It's normally, I don't even know who it is. Half the time it's like they sign off with like an Indian, Asian name. We can help, create a new website for you and get you sales, let me know if you're interested. There's never a website linked to it, or, a price list or anything. And it's just, does that work? Do people pay these people money, just random strangers that, they don't even say, hello, to me, Mr. Crafter, or hello, Ben, can I interest you in a service? So they don't even say my name. It's just, sometimes they don't even say hello. It's just these little pleasantries that you kind of expect when doing business with people, you just don't get. And half the time they don't even sign off with their name. It's like, well, who the hell are you? You're just a random stranger that's appeared in my inbox. And I think they're not aware that I get a message like that every 6 hours. And they probably think, wow, I'm doing this thing and I'm going to be rich if I just email enough people. And, obviously they've either got, the fact that they're asking about web designs means they must have either used a bot, probably bots, or bought a list of emails, companies that, another bot scraper has used to find websites on the internet, or they've manually searched certain niches and they found my website. So they know I'm a website owner, although perhaps they send these kinds of emails out to just anyone, hoping that someone will actually own a website and someone would actually want their services. But you just don't know. When there are so many scams going on the internet, the level of reassurance that you have to give, you have to give like 10 layers of reassurance, every business, organization, website, whatever, individual, when you're dealing with people, just to convey you're not a scammer. And it's weird to me that scammers don't even know this. Like if I was a scammer, there's certain things I would do in order to look legit, but most scammers don't even do that. And then I kind of realized something about scammers. Like most people that would bother scamming are the sort of people who would be susceptible to getting scammed themselves. So that's why you get these ridiculous emails, the classic, hi, I'm a prince from Nigeria and I want to give you $10 million or whatever. But first I need you to give me, $10 or whatever it is. It's like that would never work. But these are idiots that don't understand that other people aren't actually as stupid as them and just wouldn't fall for that. But they're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, I don't see why anyone wouldn't fall for this. I've said I'm a prince. Why wouldn't they believe me? Especially people from certain countries that are a bit more sort of low trust. They'll sort of target these sort of higher trust countries and sort of think, oh, those Brits, they're so trusting. They'll believe whatever I say. That's how they roll. That's their shtick. That's what they do. But yeah, it doesn't work. I'd be interested to know. No one would probably admit that they got scammed by a sort of so-called Nigerian prince, but I wonder how many people actually did fall for that. There must be a number there. There must be a percentage of people that did actually go down that route and fall for it. But yeah, so that's just part and parcel of being a website owner or an artist or just a human being that uses the internet, really. I think you've just got to deal with constant scam emails. I don't know what sort of scam emails other people constantly get, but for me, certainly at the minute, it's, we can give you, we can get more access, more visitors to your website, improve your website's SEO, redesign your website, give you some kind of e-commerce thing, or, redesign your WooCommerce page or whatever it is. I've got a WordPress backend built website that has a WooCommerce extension. So again, these people must I would have thought are targeting people specifically with that use that platform. But I mean, I'm in a position as well where, like, I just pay my web domain server costs, and that's it. You know, every year it's, I don't know what it is, £10 for a domain and £40 for web hosting, something like that. So it's £50 a year about. And I mean, I've got a couple of domains, but you get the gist. But that's all I need. I don't have because I think most artists or people in general that want to start selling their art or things, they'll go to Shopify and they'll build a site through that, maybe Squarespace. They've probably seen one of the billions of influencer marketing messages on videos they've watched on YouTube or whatever, and think, oh, Squarespace, okay, I'll check that out. And fair enough, you know, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't want to invest time learning how to design or build a website, then that's, I guess, something I'm going to do. But there are levels to it. Like, the easiest is obviously you go to Shopify, you pay them. I don't know what they charge at the moment. Like 20, is it a minimum of £20 a month? So around sort of £450 a year, something like that. And then you get a website platform and a shop, and you can populate it with products, something like that. But obviously, that's nearly 10 times what I'm paying per year. And I think when you're starting out, the trouble is you might have these high ambitions to sell hundreds of pieces or products every month or day or whatever it is. But the trouble is you might not actually be able to do that. So you've got to try and, well, I think the best thing to do generally is just start low and build up. I think it's more common for people to be a bit more ambitious and think, oh, I'm going to get the premium package. It's, you know, £500 a month. It's going to offer all these features, and maybe for a few people that does actually pay off. You sort of get that kickstart where you get all these extra features that boost the acceleration of your business, and you can actually scale things up a lot quicker. But how many people are going to utilize that compared to the amount of people that are going to just feel like, okay, I've got the shop with all the extra features and all the special ways of, you know, creating, you know, email marketing campaigns to my customers and the rest of it, but maybe you haven't actually got any customers, you don't have an audience. And so really that's the issue. And so I think I'm finding in general, when it comes to selling art, selling anything, it really is all about, probably it's about building an audience even more than creating a product. You just have to have access to eyeballs or ears or people that are potentially going to notice what you're doing. So yeah, I think if you've got access to a shop front in a town that gets a lot of traffic, a lot of footfall walking past the store or whatever, it doesn't really matter what you're selling, but it's putting you in a prime position to potentially do really well. And, you know, in my case, selling artwork, you know, I could be selling my artwork in, say, central London along Oxford Street or something, and I'm just guaranteed to make thousands of pounds. Whereas if I try and sell it at the local village church or something, you know, you get these little events like little town halls in churches that will put on a little art show, and you'll get, you know, 20 or 30 old retired people visit just to, you know, just for a day out, because it's in the local area and they can just walk to the local church or town hall and back just to see something, get out the house. And you won't sell anything. Certainly I wouldn't sell anything. I mean, I'm pretty sure that, you know, old retired people aren't really massive anime fans, but maybe, you know, the demographics will start shifting as anime continues to get more popular. And as I pointed out in my last email, apparently old people like, well, perhaps not anime, but they do like erotic artwork. So yeah, check that one out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, so the location on the getting the eyeballs is the first thing. If you built and own Facebook, that's where the money is, because you have the audience, the customer base, and then from there you can start selling things. And it doesn't really matter what you sell. It's just like, as long as you have enough people, you can pretty much sell anything. And there's probably people that kind of do what I'm doing, but without being specific towards art creation or selling art or whatever. And they're just vloggers, people that are just, sitting in front of their computers or wherever, sitting in front of a phone and just recording what they've been doing that day or whatever it is. And, maybe there's something about them, maybe they have, like, I appreciate I don't have tons of energy and charisma and weirdness, and I'm not jumping around being stupid and the rest of it. But, I'm sure there are people out there who will do that and are quite entertaining, and you'll be like, wow, you're an entertaining, charismatic person. So I think just based off the back of that, if you want to sell your, I don't know what they would sell, just t-shirts or, a range of beauty products or aftershaves or whatever. It just doesn't, like, it's like celebrities that do the fragrances. It's a weird thing, because I'm thinking, what do these people know about, fragrances and perfumes and aftershaves? What do they know about it? Obviously they don't know anything. They're just a figurehead. And it's, when you think about it, the way the world works, the way we are influenced, and the products that we buy, is so weird, because you just get a person who's famous for doing something that people like, or just a winner in life. Maybe they've won a sporting event, or maybe they're an actor, or maybe they're just famous on YouTube or whatever it is. And then you say, okay, I have a product. I want you to endorse my product. I want you to tell people that you, I don't know, drink my hot chocolate. So you'll get some world-class, I don't know, whatever it is, a cyclist or whatever, saying, oh, I drink this brand of hot chocolate. It gives me everything I need. Or, I don't know why I thought hot chocolate. I mean, probably more likely these days, because of the supplement industry, is, check out Huel or AG1 or something like that, some kind of supplement that, it probably has some good stuff in it. It's probably not bad for you compared to, just eating, McDonald's every day. But you're going to pay £100 for a product which you could just buy a lot cheaper if you either just ate the raw ingredients yourself and cooked them like most people, or you just bought the same thing but cheaper. So you're just, it's weird how we just pay for the influencer or the endorsement, and how much that's worth. There's this company that I see at comic conventions when I go there, what are they called? Twisted Dark. They sell comics. I think, I'm not really in the sort of indie comic scene, but I feel like they're one of the bigger UK independent publishers that are pushing out graphic novels and comics and stuff. Not really a massive fan, just on their, because of their selling principles. I was at a show once, and I had a table next to them, and they're quite aggressive with their sales, doing the one thing that specifically they were asked not to do, which is to sort of tout for business along the main kind of aisles. So they would stand in the aisles, basically throwing their graphic novels in front of people, or handing out stickers or whatever. And to the point where half the time they was just standing in front of my stall, and then people were obviously trying to run away from them, which meant they were running away from potentially looking at my table, my stalls, which I found quite annoying. Eventually they stopped after about an hour of doing that. But yeah, it's just quite an aggressive sales thing. And I've known a few people that have said they even know people that worked for them or worked with them, and they generally don't like the management style that small independent publisher has. So I think sort of behind closed doors, there's a kind of, people in the industry, or people that kind of know, that also sell similar products or whatever. We know who the arseholes are and who aren't, but does anyone care? It's like, at the end of the day, there's so many arsehole companies out there. It's just about at least looking good. And yeah. So why did I talk about them? Oh yeah, well, they'll mention them because every time I walk past their table, they always have this photo of Samuel L. Jackson standing there holding up one of their little graphic novels that they had made. And I always kind of find it funny how that's their sort of USP, their unique selling point, that at once upon a time they had Samuel L. Jackson endorse his product. And probably what happened is they went to a show, went to some comic event, or somehow got a contact, somehow got him to look through or read the comic. Maybe he did read it, maybe he does enjoy it, I don't know. Oh, but the amount that they're sort of trying to piggyback off the back of Samuel L. Jackson, look, if Samuel L. Jackson likes this comic, then it must be good because it's Samuel L. Jackson. And I mean, I don't know how big a comic fan Samuel L. Jackson is. No doubt he enjoys comics and anime and the rest of it. I think I've heard that, which is cool. But I would probably rather get an endorsement by a critic of graphic novels and comics, or just a mega fan, like one of these YouTubers whose entire channel is devoted to reading and reviewing comics, manga, graphic novels, or whatever. Because surely that you would think that would hold a bit more weight. You'd think, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he's come along and said that this product is really good. So, he's an authority. But to the layman, they're like, who the hell is this YouTuber or whatever? I don't know them, but I know Samuel L. Jackson. So if Samuel L. Jackson says it's good, if Samuel L. Jackson says to drink the hot chocolate, it must be good hot chocolate. And then little do you know, when they film the ad, the director shouts cut, and then he spits it out into a bucket, tries to wash his mouth out this disgusting, foul tasting hot chocolate that you idiots all go buy and love. And I'm one of them. No, I don't know if I am one of them. I probably do get bought that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you idiots, but you know what I mean, just for comic effect. We just go out and buy whatever anyone tells us to. We do what we're told, and if an authority figure or someone in a higher status position tells us to wear this aftershave or drink this hot chocolate or eat this food supplement, then we do it because we don't know what we're doing. I mean, I think this is something that I'm finding. Maybe I wouldn't say I'm autistic, but I'm probably ever so slightly on the spectrum. And I don't know. I don't even know if this is an autistic thing, but certainly I've got my own way of looking at things and looking at the world. And I'm not, although I'm in some ways very easily led. I think we all are easily led by things, trends, topics. I try to at least consider every action I take, thing that I do, purchase that I make. And I'm not trying to say, wow, look at me, I'm so great. I'm not like the rest of you scumbags that go out there and just, mindlessly consume. It's not that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like this. And I think anyone that would be ever interested in hearing anything I had to say would probably be more like me than, the mainstream idiots. No, again, I'm joking. But no, there are people that, they just do what they're told, and they buy what they think they should buy, and they don't really have their own opinions on things, or they don't really know how to work out if something's worth doing or not. And it's funny how the kind of anime and manga space, the scene has changed over the last 20, 30 years. Certainly in the UK, growing up there, back in the sort of mid to late 90s, when I guess that was more my thing, probably early to late 90s. That was when I was getting into the whole anime thing, buying the VHS manga videotapes. And back then you did it not because you were just following what everyone else was doing, but directly because you were doing the opposite to what everyone else was doing. It wasn't really a thing that the mainstream knew about. Like these days, if you asked most people who is Goku, what is Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Z, you would you'd probably get a response. Maybe not from people over 50, 55, and maybe quite a few normie types that don't really use the internet, that sort of stay away from it. But I don't know. I think Goku, certainly internationally, is probably. I'm trying to think. Is Goku more popular than Spider-Man or Superman? Or maybe, I don't know. Like it's hard to say internationally. Possibly, I think there's more kids growing up in China that want to be Goku when they grow up rather than become Superman or something. But yeah, either way, people know who Goku is. And if you don't know who Goku is, type Goku in a Google search and you'll be presented with billions of search results. Probably more search results than if you search for Spider-Man or Batman. Maybe not Spider-Man, but you get the gist. So now I think anime's become a bit more popular, and it's a bit more of a kind of, it's not, I wouldn't say it was an anti-culture when I was growing up, but it was certainly something you had to go out of your way to invest in. Whereas now, I think a lot of kids growing up, way more than when I was a kid, are actually like, it's just typical for teenagers to play computer games and video games. It's just what people do. I think I read some stat that 90 something percent of all kids, boys and girls, regularly play video games or some kind of game, a phone app game or something like that. Whereas obviously phone app games didn't exist when I was 10 years old, and even video games, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, like if you were of that era, you certainly were a minority amongst your peers, I think. You get into the sort of PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era, so that's how I mark my life, by console generations. But yeah, you get into those kind of eras, and they start becoming a bit more mainstream. By the time you've got into PlayStation 4 sort of territory, then most kids are just gaming. It was more of a geek sport, I think, or a geek hobby, and it wasn't necessarily something that the jocks would do. But now, yeah, the jocks are doing it. Although the jock types are probably still only playing the sport games and the fighting games. And when I say fighting, probably more like a UFC, MMA type fighting thing than something with a sort of fantasy edge. Like a sort of Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter type thing. Maybe not. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't know what 10, 15-year-old kids are doing. I don't really know many 15-year-old kids. It's just it's a demographic I'm not as clued up on. But anyway, my point is, those kind of geeky niche things are popular now, and because they're popular, they become a bit more like commercialized, and there's these bigger corporations and companies and people that are exploiting that fan base, basically. It's kind of like when Disney gets a hold of things, like back in the day, probably back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like the Marvel comic geeks, people that, especially like the adults that would read Marvel comics, they were doing it because they were not like most people. And then you get, the movies come out, and Disney sort of just pump out Marvel related stuff all the time. Now everybody likes Marvel. The people that would bully you as a kid for liking comic book characters are now the super fans when it comes to the Marvel franchise. Not that I was personally bullied, but I can imagine a lot of people were. So it's kind of a weird shift that you only notice if you happen to have grown up during certain decades and are of a certain age. So it's kind of weird when you look back and reflect and see how all this niche stuff that you literally had to put in a lot of legwork to invest in and find out about. And you didn't know many fans. There was a lot of times when maybe it was just me and a friend, or me and my brother, or me and a couple of internet people that even knew what a certain thing was. Maybe it was just me. It was just me on my own liking this thing because I just thought it was really cool and I wanted to like it and I didn't care what anyone else thought. But now, the point I'm trying to get to is you have powers, the powers that be, these powerful entities. I don't know what you want to call them, corporations, structures, organizations, movements. There's certainly things that are getting popular and pushed, and it isn't necessarily stuff which is good because the kind of hardcore fans like it. I think you had the stuff. I mean, you still have stuff for like, more niche things for the real hardcore fans, but I feel like certainly with the anime thing, everything is it's getting so mainstream now that there's just, I think people, how do I say this? Basically, people just want to be part of the anime thing because it is popular now, and it's not necessarily because they're subjectively fans of anime. They don't like, if it wasn't a popular thing and they kind of glanced at it, had a look, well, what's that? They wouldn't necessarily get into it, but because everyone else is into it, because their friends are into it, because there's a push, there's entities out there that are saying this is good, this is popular, you should watch this, you should subscribe to this, you should check this out. People are like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And yeah, I just notice it all the time. I notice that people are very easily led by things. And you can kind of see it with, when you look at like the top three, those top three shonen animes and manga series that, that now has a name. Before it was just like, yeah, maybe, ranking wise, the amount of readers, you would have a top 3 or a top 10. But now it's just a thing. So it's like, was it like One Piece? Is it One Piece, Dragon Ball, and I can't remember what the other one is. It used to be Naruto. It's now changed, probably like Demon Slayer. So you have these, you have this thing now, like, and everyone wants to watch the top 3 or know what the top 3 is, and it's like, there's not many people that probably watch the first 10 episodes of One Piece and think, you know what, I'm not really into this. I think I'll give it up. But no, apparently everyone says it's great. Apparently you just got to watch more episodes. Apparently, you watch enough, you'll get into it. And it just seems like people want to then watch, I think they're up to 1,100 episodes plus at the minute with the anime. And you think, yeah, I don't know, the amount of people that want to subscribe to it. My personal opinion is, I mean, having watched I'm nearly currently up to date with One Piece. It is really good, and I'm glad that it exists. I'm glad it's a thing. I'm glad it's still going, and it's an achievement to keep a series going that long. But it's not my favourite anime. It wouldn't even make it my top 10. And it's funny, I sometimes watch these videos on YouTube where normally people at comic conventions, cosplayers, are polled, what are your top favourite animes, or what are you watching at the moment? And people will often say things like, basically whatever's current. Oh, I'm really into Jujutsu Kaisen, or I'm really into Demon Slayer, I'm really into whatever. Yeah, like One Piece because it's still current. But no one would ever say, like I mentioned in one of my older videos not too long ago about the Guyver. No one would ever say the Guyver since it's on hiatus. Or no one would give it credit for being like one of the for having some of the best sort of I wouldn't say mecha, but like monster and character designs. The Guyver suit being probably one of the best organic organic metal mecha character designs that I know about. And no one would ever say that. And I know it was, compared to One Piece, a short-lived manga. It was, it went on a while, and the anime, the original. I mean, originally there was a one-shot anime that was just, I think it was 1 or 2 episodes. And then they did a 12-episode anime series, and then they did a 24-episode remake. But yeah, no one would ever say that. Few people, but no, I don't know. Like I go to like comic conventions and shows. No one ever fucking brings up the Guyver, which is a shame. I wouldn't even say the Guyver is in my top 10, but it's one of those things where I'm just making the point that no one would ever say it. Some people would. There are like Reddit and Facebook groups where people will discuss the Guyver, and it is their thing, and they do have all the original Max Factory 1 to 6 scale models or whatever it is. So yeah, there are some people that like that stuff. But my point is, generally, if people discuss their favourite anime, they will say, for example, One Piece, or I'm trying to think. There's a few that people always go on about. I mean, Attack on Titan. There's a few others. Yeah. But I don't know, I just got the feeling that there's some which give it 10 years and it feels to me like some of these things are going to kind of fade into obscurity. Like they were decent at the time, but they might have been very much of their time. Whereas I think there are those old school shows that will always have at least some sort of fan base that's just going to kind of under the radar kind of consistently keep going. I'm thinking of something like Fist of the North Star, Hokuto no Ken, where Hokuto no Ken's like very old. It's an old 80s manga anime, and it's kind of just been semi-popular under the radar for just a long time. And I don't think it's ever really had any big peaks or like ever dropped off the map completely either. I know this is a kind of weird metric to measure against, but I was visiting some anime stores in London not too long ago. And you would look around the stores and like I say, it'd be the usual like t-shirt or toy series that you would see, Attack on Titan, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach. So it'd be the usual stuff, but occasionally you would see like a Hokuto no Ken shirt or a Kenshiro toy figure, the main character. So it's kind of like, okay, people kind of know it's there. It's kind of been there, sort of low-lying for forever, really. And it's kind of a weird thing that exists. I think that will kind of remain a classic because it's been going now for like 40 years or so. And I feel, yeah, it's going to remain in people's minds, whereas I don't know, a series like Blue Lock is fairly popular at the minute. It's a sort of a football, soccer series. And I can imagine that within the next 10 years, there'll be another sports manga series about football that will be better than Blue Lock, and everyone will forget Blue Lock. I just feel that that's going to happen. Maybe not in the next 10 years, maybe in the next 20 years, if manga is still a thing and the world still exists and the rest of it. But so anyway, my point about all of this, tying it back, is that I forget how so many people are kind of follow and are led by what they're told. And I notice it as well when I go to, when I sell at shows and stuff. I think selling at shows is kind of an interesting thing because you're not just in your own little isolated bubble. Like I sell my art prints online, but I only know out of my selection of prints which ones are popular and which ones aren't. So, there's limited data to work with. If I go to an event or comic convention or something, I can see, okay, there are hundreds, thousands maybe of retailers here. What kind of seems to be popular? What are people buying? What are people, when you watch people walk past tables with a clear handle bag, and they've got stuff in their bag, what are they buying? what are people selling on bags? Like people sell these mystery bags. You know, it's £20 or £50, and you get a bag full of just cheap shit that no one wanted, that they wanted to get rid of at a show. Maybe a couple of good little items. You're like, oh, that's quite good. But you could have just bought them separately for cheaper. But people love it. People love these mystery bags. They love the idea of it being, oh, what am I going to get inside my little mystery bag? And they're really popular. So I almost don't want to criticize people buying it, because I would imagine that if I start saying these people are idiots buying this cheap shit that they can't sell normally, so they stick in a bag, call it a mystery bag, and then these idiots buy it, I'm going to offend people, but I probably have just in implying that that is a thing. But then again, I don't get enough viewers that anyone I would know or care about, or probably no one that watches this has ever bought a mystery bag. Maybe you have, and maybe you can argue why I am wrong and why mystery bags are actually really good value for money, and you get more in a mystery bag and you get exactly what you want in a mystery bag compared to if you just buy exactly what you would otherwise want anyway. I don't think you do, but I would like to hear the argument. But yeah, mystery bags, that's another case of like, they're just people, they want to buy into something, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a mystery bag, and it's I don't know, pick a popular thing. Like Jojo's Bizarre Adventure was a popular anime series recently. I feel like it's dipped a little bit, but that's another one that sort of. I mean, Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, it's got a kind of popular. It's got a bit of a history to it. So it kind of came out, and it was popular in Japan, and it had a very low level following in like the 90s. And then there was like some anime made that was, again, very like, you tend to like it if you were into, just more like serious sort of shonen fighting, more adult anime. And then I don't know when it was exactly, probably, I don't know, I want to say around 2015. Sort of, in 2000, but yeah, so in the 90s, no one really knew. Early 2000s, no one knew what the hell it was. And then sort of, in the 2000s and somethings, it became like, I don't know, it became like a popular, gimmicky, memeable series. I think because it was a bit bizarre, a bit wacky, had some, it kind of had that seriousness of Fist of the North Star, but also some unusual kind of just craziness. And there was a little bit of that craziness that you could meme from. So because of the meme thing on the internet, it became a bit of a cult, not a cult, but like an inside joke popular thing. And then the anime remakes came out sort of, I don't know when that was, probably around 2015, maybe a bit later. And then, it just got really popular. And it's kind of funny how these things, I've just seen like things get popular and reasons why they get popular. Because for me, I'll just quickly say JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, what is probably my top 10 favourite series, but not because it's funny or because it's been memed a lot. I mean, there's a couple of little like funny bits in it. But I mean, I'm more a fan of Stardust Crusaders Series 3. And has a few kind of funny bits in it. But I'm not really like into it because it's funny and bizarre and has been memed a lot, or is it, you can make little parodies from. I'm not really funny into the niche aspects of it. I'm more into it because of the seriousness of it. I'm into it as much as I am into Fist of the North Star, because it's just it's just a good shonen battle manga that is a bit more cerebral, instead of leveling up, powering up, and fighting bigger, badder bosses. So I kind of I like the fact that maybe it was because it's the first manga I read, an anime that I watched, that was a bit more cerebral and a bit more like, okay, we have an enemy in front of us that has a special power, like a superhero thing, but we can't just run in guns blazing, otherwise we're going to die, because we don't really know how its power works. We have to try and figure it out. Once we figure out the nuances, we can use our own special powers to try and defeat it. And I liked that, and I like that aspect of manga in general. Now that since over the last few decades I've become more familiar with manga, it's quite a common thing that you never. I felt you didn't really get that so much in Western comics. It's very much like, I have special powers, and I have to fight these other things. And there will be a discussion, a tactic, or strategy. How are we going to beat the big boss? And normally it's like, okay, well, I can stop time, so I'm going to use my time stop to stop time and send you in, and then you're going to use your fireball powers to blast the the reactor and blow it up, and then the villain can't take over the world. But it wasn't. It was kind of, so there was a sort of basic strategy, like with a lot of kids sort of superhero type films and kids films in general. But I kind of felt with the manga it's a bit more tacticful, and it was a bit more, okay, you're going to do this, so I now need to figure out, how you're going to do that. I suppose something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Not that I'm at all interested in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but that is kind of a bit more it. It's like, okay, you're playing this card, so I'm going to now need to figure out a strategy, an instant tactic to then react to your thing, and then you're going to have to think about my thing. And there's this underlying thought process of how, like the reasons why you would do a thing, and I kind of like that. Anyway, I'm just properly ranting now. I'm just going on a bit of an anime geek tangent, but yeah. So Jojo became a thing. The reason I'm talking about Jojo's Bizarre Adventure is because at comic conventions, I remember, maybe not this year, but last year or the year before, there was a lot of people that were buying these mystery bags, and there were mystery bags that had the Jojo's Bizarre Adventure artwork on the side of it. So anyway, backpedaling now. So you can kind of see, okay, so at the moment it seems that Jojo's Bizarre Adventure is the popular or a popular series, since people are buying mystery bags with pictures of Jotaro and Dio on the side of it or whatever. So yeah, it's just kind of, it's just interesting observations that I still kind of feel like people are kind of easily led with, whatever is kind of going at the moment. Although I suppose one advantage that Japanese manga and therefore anime series would have over their kind of Western counterparts is just the fact that they're a bit more obsessed with like rankings and readership and but I think both like the Western comic industry and manga is, but it seems to me like a shonen weekly magazine that will come out in Japan, they're more willing to introduce new stories to the anthologies and say, okay, we have a magazine that's got 7 stories in it or whatever. We will put your comic in our anthology, and then based on the ratings, that we'll carefully monitor, we'll see if we're going to continue it or not. And it's a different system to the American system, which is like, we're just gonna invent a new comic. We're going to stick out a number 1, an issue 1, an issue 2, issue 3, and then we're just going to drop it. But you have to invest in that whole comic rather than the kind of anthology style. And it's kind of judged more by just, I think American comics they literally just look at the sales figures and they say, okay, according to the sales figures, this comic isn't selling, therefore let's get rid of it. Whereas I think with the Japanese stuff, I might be wrong here, but they will ask their readers what they think about it a bit more. They'll get a bit more sort of fan interaction. There's an anime and manga series called Bakuman, that kind of talks about this, how at the time they were getting readers to write in their reviews. I don't live in Japan. I don't know how the shonen manga system works, but they would get, according to this anime, they were getting the readers to write in with their reviews and submit which animes they wanted to continue, or a manga that they wanted to continue reading and subscribing to, and which ones they didn't, and that would influence whether a series would continue or not. And that whole system and how that works, I think it's kind of subtle, but I think it lends itself more to like demonstrating what fans really kind of like, more so than other genres and things. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say with this really is that even something like that I might not necessarily think is in my top 10, a series like One Piece, there is a reason why it's popular, a reason why it's good. I think it would be dumb to completely dismiss it, say it's trash, I don't know why anyone likes this, it's boring. And you can criticize it. Same with something like Dragon Ball. You can say it's just the same thing, rinse and repeat, it's all filler. Powering up, fighting another enemy, powering up, fighting another enemy. But maybe there's something good about that. Maybe that's what people want to see. They want to see the hero fight the villain, overcome adversity, save the day. And it's like that archetype is like we've seen it a billion times in a billion different stories. So why not just rinse and repeat? If you like the characters as well and you like the setting, it's perhaps not all bad. So yeah, I think a lot of stuff. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've seen that has come out of Japan in the sort of anime sphere recently that I just hated. I mean, I'm quite selective about what I watch anyway. So if something I think isn't going to be so great, I probably wouldn't waste my time with it. And I generally get a bit of a consensus, because if I'm going to be investing my time in anything, whether it's a series, I want to kind of get a gist of like, will I like this? Do other people generally like this? Before I even give it a go. And you can kind of get more of a sense of if something's good and if people like it based on like a ratings website. So if 100,000 people or 1 million people have rated something a certain way, you generally get a gist of if it's good or not. And this is different to people just following trends, because with trends, people just follow them whether or not they're subjectively rated as good or bad. I mean, take an anime series like Full Metal Alchemist. Most people that watch Full Metal Alchemist will say it's good, but doesn't mean it's popular. It doesn't mean it's trending. The last comic convention show that I went to, because it's not really current, there wasn't any Full Metal Alchemist sort of fandom stuff going on. There wasn't much fan art or toys or statues or stickers or whatever that you could buy related to Full Metal Alchemist. It was just, it's like the whole thing had disappeared. Yet you'll go on a website like My Animate List and it will be ranked in the top 3 probably at this point, if not top 1 best ever manga or anime series. And I'm not saying it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, because you can't make something that will please everyone, and some people are going to think it's overrated. I mean, I'd still have to sit and think, would I put it in my top 10? Probably would. But yeah, I'd have to sit and think about it. So I wouldn't say it's my favourite of all time. But it's kind of funny how most people generally love it, yet it's not popular. And because it's not popular, if I go away and create some Full Metal Alchemist fan art, which I did not too long ago, no one's going to buy it, because people are just buying what is popular. So I guess if there's really a message after all this ranting and talking, it's that, well, if you are going to chase a niche rather than just create whatever the hell that you want to do, then maybe you should look at what is popular and what is trending. Yeah, popular is a different one. Yeah, I guess what is trending more so than what people actually like. Because it's weird. People would rather buy something that is kind of like novel than is objectively good. I think people would rather even buy something that is novel and new and current than buy their favourite thing. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's the gist that I'm getting. And I suppose when it comes to creating art, because I'm an artist that certainly in recent years has been focusing more on fan art, because I realised like I could do a commission for a few £100 of a character. Joe wants his wife Sarah drawn in an anime style, and it's a private commission. The guy's only got a couple of £100 to spend, so fair enough. And I could do that, or I could draw some One Piece fan art. And I know that even though I don't have an immediate buyer for this One Piece fan art, I know that over the course of 200 sales or whatever, I'm going to make way more money than if I draw a picture of Joe's wife Sarah. Did I say wife or girlfriend? I don't know. It doesn't matter, but you get the gist. So yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I should continue down this fan art route. And if I do, you might have to I might have to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, I'm just an artist that tries to follow a trend, and then know that you're going to make kind of like a short-term burst of cash off of that trend, and then that's it. And then you move on to the next trend, and then the next trend, and then the next trend. Or, do you just do what you want to do? And even if it's in the sort of fan art space, like, do I create some Fist of the North Star fan art? As I was saying earlier, that's a series which is kind of going to always be popular. I wouldn't say popular. It's always going to have a following, and I could imagine selling those at shows on a small but regular basis. Kind of analogous to that, or similar to that, is a Battle Angel Alita. So I did some Alita artwork years ago, and I've been selling that at shows for several years. And I always sell one or two of these Alita fan art prints. And it's one of those ones which doesn't sell a lot. Most people don't know what Alita is, but I think because of the James Cameron film and knowing that there's going to be a sequel to, Alita Battle Angel, the sort of live action films, that's going to create another trend. So maybe it's worth doing more of that, or at least not dropping that print. But certainly, that's an interesting case where it's there, and there's a kind of hardcore fan base there, and they will always be there. But there's also going to be a lot of young, up and coming anime fans that are like, okay, I want to get into this anime thing. Where do I start? And obviously, they're going to be influenced by whatever's trending, whatever's popular, what people are talking about in the school playgrounds and classrooms. And if everyone is talking about, Jujutsu Kaisen or something, then I guess they're gonna gravitate towards that and buy into that and make that their current fandom. But yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thing. So, I mean, on an art level, I haven't really done a lot of art recently at all. Still playing around with my little 2-player head-to-head card game, Total Blast. Working on a sort of robot character for one of the cards at the minute, just because I thought it'd be cool. I mean, it's my own little game, so I thought, even though I kind of wanted this medieval fantasy thing with like knights and kings and wizards and the rest of it, which I've got that. I also kind of wanted an alien, and I also wanted a robot, because why not? It's my thing. I can do what I want. I can have these kiddie things that boys like and people like me that haven't grown up properly still like. Then yeah, why not? So I want to do it. I want to put this robot character in. I've kind of come up with an initial design, but I'm thinking about just tweaking it before I ink it up and then go on to colouring it. Yeah, I mean, really though, other than that, I've not done a lot of artwork because I still don't know the direction to go. I think talking this out today has just kind of made me realise that, yeah, the way things are, I just notice a lot of people they're following whatever's being pushed in front of them. And on a personal level, I find that a bit frustrating, a bit annoying, but that is just how human beings are, I guess. And because we follow as a species, it's easy to exploit our tendency to do that, and that is why we are being exploited, or some people are being exploited and being pushed to engage with series content, fandoms that they might otherwise not care about if instead they were just caring about what they subjectively thought was good. But maybe some people don't know what is good. Maybe some people don't have. I think a lot of people, they like things, but they just don't have any taste. Because taste is a weird thing. Like when it comes to art, people say that art, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and everyone's got different styles and tastes. But I think there is almost like a personality trait or something related to taste. And I think within that trait, you can have different like subgenres of taste. I mean, you can get people that I'm trying to think of sort of like differences. Like some people are very much into kind of minimal, flat tone colours. Think of like a pair of curtains in a home. Some people just want it flat, minimal. Maybe they want it black, white, or grey. Quite neutral, basically, monotone. And people that do that, you could argue that they have a certain taste. And maybe people that want, like a single bright colour, particularly like for an accent colour. So maybe they have other neutral colours in the rest of their space, the rest of their home. And they want one accent colour, so they've chosen that they want a bright red or a bright yellow. And you can say, okay, well, those people also have taste. Or maybe you want people that want a little bit more texture and patterning, and they want, like a certain floral design that's going on. And I guess as long as it unifies with the rest of the space, having some floral curtains could actually work. So there are different styles that people like, and there's nothing wrong with liking that. But I think that some people probably don't have a taste of their own and are literally staring around at other people wanting to know the answers. They're like the kid in class who doesn't know the maths equation, doesn't know how to do the work. So they're frantically like peering over the shoulders of the other kids. Like, how do you do this? I don't understand. I need you to show me what the answer is. And I feel like people want to be told the answer. I think most people want to be told to do. Either they haven't got the time to think about it, or they don't have that innate quality, that innate level of taste. I don't want to sound elitist. Like, I don't want to sound like, oh, I have it. My taste is great. I'm doing what I like. Yeah, well, I am doing what I like, but I don't want people to think I'm doing what I don't want people to think that I am superior, or that I have these qualities that no one else can and I'm better than them. Because I don't think that, but I do think that I kind of just know what I like, and I don't think on a more objective level most people would think it's bad. It's like I've mentioned about tidiness and messiness. You got some people that are quite messy and chaotic, and they enjoy the mess. They think it's more, human or natural, or maybe cozy, or it's good to have lots of clutter around you. It makes you feel, on a personal level, maybe it makes you feel kind of safe, surrounded by lots of things, or you just enjoy the chaos or something like that. However, most people would not think that it's good to be messy. Most people don't go to luxury hotels or spend a lot of money on things because it's got lots of mess around it. If you hire a car for a weekend and the back seats are full of junk, just mess, boxes, whatever, you would complain because you want it clean and tidy. You don't want dust covering everything. You don't want just random objects everywhere. So I think what I'm basically saying is that's where I'm at. I'm like most people where I don't want mess, but I also know how to not accumulate mess, which I think is a bit harder. I think it's easier to know kind of generally what you want, but harder to action that and harder to actually keep your space tidy, for example. To tidy your room, it's a harder task than the thought of knowing that it would be better if it's tidier. Anyway, a bit of a detour coming off of the back of complaining about art marketing emails, but yeah, it's just some random thoughts that I thought I'd share, and don't know, maybe some people find that useful, maybe they won't. I'll leave people to decide.